the 8th light body level. On the 8th level light body, the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, usually the size of a pea, they begin to grow and change shape. As they increase, it is possible that you feel a pressure on the head. They may have frequent headaches during this process. If you have frequent headaches and really strong, understand that part of you that is in the higher dimensions, and that is helping this transition, cannot feel physical pain. So the first thing you will want to say is, hey, it hurts. Could you to stop? You will have to communicate to the part of yourself that is in the 5th and 6th dimension that is hurting. The first thing to say is, please, release endorphins. Endorphins are natural anesthetics produced by the brain, and relieve pain. Some people prefer that the pains were weak and would last for a month and a half, while others prefer to be strong, but would end in 24 hours. Find out what is best for you, as there are moments in this process in which the brain literally increases in size. It is possible that the skull of you start to expand. We saw people whose skulls entirely changed shape, particularly as a result of the opening and the increase of the pituitary and pineal glands. When the pineal gland expands, it is also the feeling that someone is pressing with his finger the place between the eyebrows. When the pituitary gland is increasing, it can also occur the feeling that someone is pulling the back of your head. When it goes to the 8th level light body, there is an activation of what we call granular crystals. These 3 small crystals receive codes of light of the higher dimensions. The crystals are located above the eyebrows and toward the pupils, when one is looking forward to. The third is the forehead just below the hairline toward the nose. It is also a receptor activation crystal cell that is registers located on the right side of the head, approximately 4 centimeters above the ear. In higher dimensions, there is a structure called crystal cell records. This cell contains large amounts of information that the soul has accumulated over many incarnations on various planets and stars. Periodically, the cell discharges records of the information about the experiences in the crystal receiver. When this occurs, many people feel a tingling sensation, burning or of a liquid flowing in the head is located where the crystal receiver. Suddenly, people take possession of all this information, unable to understand where they came from. The 8th, 9th and 10th chakras are activated. 3 to 5 crystalline patterns of the 8th chakra come into line so that the energy bodies start to move in spirals of energy. You begin to get in touch with the multidimensional mind and get what we call light codes. The pituitary and pineal glands act together when they are open, causing what is known as Ark of the Covenant. It is a rainbow-shaped light surrounding the top of the head, the region where is located the 4th vision to the 3rd eye. This is one of decoding mechanisms of the language of the higher dimensions. The functioning of the brain begins to change and you begin to have feelings and thoughts based on geometric shapes and sounds. This may leave them somewhat confused, since there is normally no translation of this. You may feel unable to talk about it with other people, because they do not find words to express what they are feeling. It is very common among people who are on the 8th level light body the secret fear of being with Alzheimer's disease. You may have difficulty remembering what they ate for breakfast or plan for the future, and this can worsen more and more. Another occurrence very common is not able to formulate a coherent sentence and the feeling that other people when addressing you are speaking another language. It is a kind of auditory dyslexia. The big joke with respect to the 8th level light body is the following: to redeem the 95% of the brain that did not use, because you have to lose 5%, have ever used all the features of the brain to which they were accustomed may become inaccessible, as entirely new features are being created. You can catch many sounds and see streaks of light, colors, shapes and movements in your mental screen. You can see luminous letters in Hebrew, hieroglyphics or formulas that seem equations. It is the spirit communication codes. In the early stages, you cannot make the slightest idea of what is being transmitted, just know that something is being transmitted. When this occurs, they should make the exercise of unifying the chakras and entreat the spirit means that interpretation possible. You may need to ask for a long time, but should not give up. As you move the 8th level of light body, you reach a point immediately before the transition to the 9th level, where interpretation is possible. Whatever the spirit passed that suddenly period is clear and can be understood in the verbal level. This is the time to come home. This is the best way we can express the process. You are again in contact with the multidimensional mind. The multidimensionality of you becomes a real and indisputable fact. You become aware of their own range. Many people hesitate while they are at other levels of the light body, saying, "God, I hope this is true." It's wonderful to see them realize that this process is indeed real. Then you realize that they can be where they want and do what they please. They disappeared the last vestiges of the bonds created by obligation. All you do is often guided by the Spirit. You no longer need any other reason. They begin to act without reasons and special explanations. Follow the Spirit every breath of air that inspire and every step they take. I do this because I want to, instead of I do it because it is right. They begin to communicate with people in a completely different level, which we call transpersonal. You relate to someone because the Spirit leads them to that person, and verbalize the words inspired by the Spirit. At this stage, other people often do not know how to act with you, because the energy fields you have changed. All tetrahedrons they used to arrest them no longer work. People who want to relate to you to coerce them, manipulate them or depend on you just turn away, because they can no longer bind you. You do not work more at that level. There is a deeper serenity begins to flow through you and greater joy and more constant by being in contact with Spirit. You do not wander over from one side to the other but remain in the body. Express its multiple dimensions through the body. On the 8th level of light body, you also begin to expand consciousness, not only through the dimensions, but through the parallel. They become able to coordinate energy through multiple realities. At first, you can get a little disoriented, but in time becomes extremely fun. Everything you say or do is entirely guided by the Spirit. This totally changes the way they relate, and certainly changes the character of their interpersonal relationships very quickly, which can generate entirely new fears such as did I never have sex with someone? Or will I get to keep my job? Sometimes, the answer is a resounding no. The 8th level is one of the transformers. Many people advance very quickly and feel like they're going crazy. You can begin to express themselves in verse, totally unable to speak normally, or talking back to front. The explanation for this will come when you are open to new languages and allow them to affect their energy and cellular structures fields. Let them literally penetrate the DNA. The Spirit, at this point, is manifested directly through codes. This also involves the nervous system. The whole nervous system is going through a setting to deal with the new levels of information. You may also feel that the vision is blurred and the reverberations in the ears become so strong that you have trouble hearing. The nerves of the eyes and ears, and indeed, from all directions, are being forced to process a much larger amount of information than before. Consequently, may occasionally arise malfunctions of the brain. Be patient with yourself and with the people around you. Keep up the good humor, because there will be days when it all seems so much fun. Another very common occurrence on the 8th level light body is the arrhythmia of the heartbeat. This is because the circulatory system of the 5th dimension called axial system is being activated and the heart may be getting two types of electrical impulses. This continues until it reaches a point where the axial system and the autonomic nervous system merge its functions and the heart starts to work primarily from the axial system impulses. The 8th level light body is an incredibly interesting experience. When 95% of the light workers were on the 8th level light body, they began to develop a group mind and, therefore, to propose entirely new goals for the benefit of the planet. This is common to open an expressway to the source for all mankind.